For recording purposes, if I can get your name, please, and what the show is called.
Fab Filippo, and the show is called Save Me.
Fab, thank you so much for doing this interview with me. Of course, we're here at CBC. You've got a new digital show, Save Me. When I read about this is one thing. When you watch it, man, oh man, this is bizarre. It kind of reminded me of 6 Feet Under, but in reverse kind of thing. First, for Pete, I want to talk a little bit about the show, but I want to talk about your career, Torontonian, getting into acting, and all the things that you've done leading up to this.
Yeah, you know, I spent a big chunk of my career being an actor mostly, and I was in Los Angeles for a few years, and I did some I did some stuff down there. I did a small stint on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I was on a show called Queer as Folk. And yeah, I kind of just I missed being here. I love Toronto. And so the moment I was able to afford it, I came back here and bought a house, and I've been sort of making it happen here. I had my own series on the air a few years ago called Billable Hours, and what else? I actually did Queer as Folk while I was living here, and yeah, just fast forward to Save Me.
Yeah, and then the creative juices really start flowing, my friend, with this show, because it, like I said, it is bizarre, it is humorous, and man, it really hits the point on what's going on in today's society. Talk a little bit about what this show is about, please.
Well, it's really simple. It's about trauma. It's about physical trauma and emotional trauma. It's about trauma at the front of the ambulance and the back of the ambulance. What we want to do with this show is explore how we can get into these moments in people's lives that aren't usually things that you laugh at, and help you laugh at them.
The paramedics, though, they seem to be the ones who solve the problems, not just physically, but in a way, taking these folks away from whatever is going on kind of helps them too, mentally.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's like real life. Like, I mean, I got to go on a ride along and be on calls with some paramedics, and you know, a lot of the time, it's basically solving problems all the time. It's one problem after another, and it's getting thrown at them, and they have to think on their feet. A lot of the time, it's talking to people. It's asking questions, trying to figure out what actually happened, and a lot of the time, it's social work, trying to figure out how to calm people down, how to make them feel better in the situation. They told me a story about spending 2 hours just trying to convince a guy to go to the hospital.
You know, I want to get into this too, because I've spoken to people before who work in the trauma unit, and some of their stories about people coming in are insane. Some of the things that we get to see in this, how far off to reality is this?
Well, not far off. Not far off. I mean, the thing is, though, if we were to really be reality, it would be like a drunk person, like every 5 saves, and then we'd get something interesting. Just like any job, a lot of the times they have to respond to calls that are either somebody who's drunk or on drugs, or somebody who has chest pains. These are the most common calls that a paramedic does, and oftentimes it's a slog. I know when they really get to save somebody, when they go into a situation where somebody really needs them and they actually affect change, that it makes them feel so good.
How do you come up with the storylines? Because, of course, we have to be introduced to these characters to have some kind of emotional attachment before, of course, the paramedics come in with their capes to save the day.
Yeah, well, I guess the storylines, they come from a combination of stuff that really happened, and me hiding it enough that it doesn't look like so that we don't get sued, and you know, a lot of the times it'll be something that, you know, myself and Lisa Balin, the producer, will be talking about, and she'll go, "Oh, we got to put this in the show." We have particularly an episode about the rivalry between paramedics and firefighters that Lisa was gung-ho about. She really pushed me to write that one.
I had a chance to see that just before coming here. Like I said, hilarious though. But my friend, I got to go back to right off the beginning. How did you come up with this? Because I kept going over my head going, there is 1,000 years I would never think of a show like this.
Well, that's my job. I come up with ideas. I execute ideas. So that's the first thing. This particular idea, it starts with Lisa. She came up to me. Basically, like every year for about 3 years, Lisa was like, I want to do something with you. I want to do something with you. And it was like, it's amazing when a producer believes in your voice enough to keep coming back, So finally, we had this moment. I had sort of started thinking about, there was a show on Vimeo called High Maintenance. It's on HBO now, but it was a digital series first. And I wanted to find a way to do that sort of pseudo-anthology where you have a regular character, but really it's about the cross-section of the urban population. And I have a friend who's a paramedic, and I thought, well, yeah, that could work. We could do that construct and have a paramedic come in. And then I pitched it to Lisa, and she was like, that's a good idea. And really, from the moment that I pitched it to her to getting on camera, it was just over a year, basically.
Incredible, and you got to be happy because it's happening at CBC. And if there is one network that really likes to reach out, try different things, it's CBC.
Certainly, yeah. It's been an incredible creative experience at CBC. Zach Feldberg and Greg Diamond are our executives here, and really, there was never a moment with them where it was anything but trying to get the best product and the most. In this landscape of television, I think they felt that they wanted to make something that was the most original thing that could come out of all the people involved, and they really supported that.
They definitely did. Do we see you in a couple of episodes?
We do see me in a couple of episodes. There's episodes where there's an episode where I literally walk by. And that's all. And then there's an episode that I'm very much a part of the plot. But
don't tell us. We just gotta keep our eyes out and watch.
Yeah, exactly. Watch. It's an hour and change. It's not a lot of time. You can sit down and do it. It's I promise you'll laugh.
Where do we get to see this great show?
It's on cbc.ca/saveme. So there's that, and then it's going to be on the CBC YouTube comedy channel. I don't think it's dropped on YouTube yet, though.
We'll got to keep our eyes out waiting for this. Website, Twitter, everything else. We're going to go to follow you or follow the show. Where do we go?
Follow the show at Save Me the Series on Facebook and Twitter.
And what about yourself? If we want to follow you?
Sure, follow me. I'm at Fab Filippo. I'm at Fab Filippo?
You are at.
I'm at Fab.
No matter what, you are at, and we can find you.
You can find me.
My friend, thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.